Sup, fuckers?
We're back.
We're back. This is our first sode recording after our patrons made us take a break to play Anthology of the Killer, which, no regrets, but it has been almost a month for us, so... We did refresh ourselves on where we're at, but, give us a little grace if we're forgetting things here. So, last sode, we were, Bang and Angela, went to lunch with Crispin... Right,
cracked
Darcy.
The whole scheme wide open.
We
with
cracked
the
the
superior, who
right.
definitely listens to our ideas and not her own preconceptions.
I'm not convinced that Hedwig didn't know that was going to happen and wants whoever she's telling this series of events to believe otherwise. But, that's just me. We also heard Darcy's death wish. As we passed through the archway back into the Abbey proper, I was more concerned with what I could tell Catherine with a K about the superior suspicions. Right, because Hedwig's like, no, I'm still on your side, Catherine. I'm still on your... Do I have it? Did I get it in one there? Was that Hedwig voice?
I think so.
I think that was pretty close. I did not have much time to think, however. Bridget and Violet were sitting at the table Charity and Margaret usually occupy.
Charity and Margaret?
Charity and Margaret? I think that's meant to be Charity and Marta. Probably just I'm assuming that's meant to be Charity and Marta, and that's just a brain blip.
Unless Marta and Margaret are the same person.
Stop
Woo!
this. I think it's just you're writing a game that's like tens of thousands of words long. Sometimes you autopilot and you fuck it up. It's fine. We've all been there. As soon as we entered the cloister, they bolted toward us.
There.
Oh, no, you're Bridget.
There you are.
Oh, well, thank goodness you're here. We were looking all over for you.
Come upstairs. Flora's waiting.
They yanked Catherine with a K by the sleeves and dragged her toward the staircase. Margaret and I followed close behind, too. Too curious to let this pass. Catherine with a K tripped on a step on the way up, and I had to resist making a mean remark. All the way back at the very beginning about Catherine nudging Hedwig about, not knowing how to navigate stairs, which again, perfectly fair after being in the same room for like 20 years. The young duo marched us into the sacristy by way of the library. Eustace had finished cleaning the place. He was practically gleaming, free of bric-a-brac or the charred remains thereof. The room was actually rather spacious. Flora sat in her barrow, looking anxious. Next to her was Eustace, who was her typical stoic self. I felt a rush of fear when I saw her. Eustace certainly did want to clean up the place, and maybe some of that is penance, but also, if there was any other evidence that might have hidden something, right?
Yeah.
The pair of them were flanking something covered in sackcloth.
Took you long enough. We couldn't find them.
They were sitting at a table. Were they working hard on that?
They were off in the camp, turns out.
Whatever. Thanks for finding them. I wanted to show Catherine something. Oh dear. Now that I'm the sacrist, it's apparently up to me to choose what we keep in here and look after and stuff. That works out because I've been working on something. Maybe it's a bit selfish, but I thought the first thing we could keep in here is...
She waved a hand towards Eustace. You want to keep Eustace in there?
Yeah, I was thinking that, I got kind of jealous of you getting to be in one room for 20 years on end.
On Flora's signal, she pulled the cloth away to reveal a lavish painting of a woman in noble finery.
Oh, that looks like me. It is you.
Oh, so it was meant to be Catherine with a K. Okay.
Yep, and was done by Flora. You were totally right.
I was wrong about the Catherine it was meant to be, though. I was right by technicality, which is the best kind of right. But why would you do a great painting and then immediately want to hide it away?
And the sacristy is where all the best stuff goes, all the good stuff.
Yeah, but then no one gets to look at it. All right. Everyone had gathered around the canvas, cooing and marveling at Flora's prowess. I couldn't help but smile. I felt relieved and a little embarrassed. I felt so menaced by this painting, but all the pieces were coming together in my mind. For once, I was glad that a mystery's resolution was amusing more than anything else. But why would she go all that effort to paint? See, it made more sense from a motive standpoint why she would paint Catherine with a C. Painting Catherine with a K, I can't understand the motive. Right? Am I like, do you have a better read on that?
I don't know. Maybe she just wanted to paint her.
Maybe I get. Maybe it is as simple as that. But like, it's just I had no idea. Now that I could see it next to Catherine with a K, the likeness was obvious. I did find it a little funny that I had not recognized the subject. After all, I had seen Sister Catherine naked.
Well, that's the problem. The painting's got the clothes on.
The clothing, the hair, and the rather ghoulish lack of mouth had made an identification impossible before. But here's another thing about that. This is Catherine wearing an outfit she hasn't worn in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is Catherine as a noble.
Mm-hmm.
Was Flora like, I heard that you tried to get a portrait of you and they didn't like it, so here, maybe we fix that up for you. Also, didn't Tatiana show this portrait in the future and claim it was other Catherine?
Did she?
No, I must be misremembering. It's been a bit. I had only ever seen Catherine with a K in her habit or completely nude, her hair long and wild. This painting depicted a sort of in-between state, known as clothing. Something I was unfortunately unfamiliar with. I like the severity of the arch, like where the eyebrow arch there, because that doesn't look like her eyebrows. That looks like kind of the bit where the skull kind of recedes a bit to leave the shadow on that part there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think she's got eyebrows that thick, but I love the severity of that. I kept all these observations to myself.
That man came round with it a while ago, yeah? I thought it was a shame. So I was right as well.
Oh, shit, you were right as well. What? What the fuck? Okay, so that's why. So she wanted to finish it up for Catherine's sake.
I thought it was a shame that
so strange. Okay, yeah. High five, we're both right. Rare double win for the queers. Do we get to call ourselves the queers yet? I don't think so. I don't think we've earned that. Maybe the two queers. I feel like that we have earned. I don't feel like there's any other group of queers going around calling themselves the two queers. And if there are, don't tell us about them. We don't need to know.
I thought it was a shame that it was just sitting around unfinished. I tried to just copy it at first, but I couldn't get it right. And I really appreciate you wheeling me around so much lately, and Oh,
holy shit! Okay, it is Flora trying to express gratitude. Okay. That makes more... Holy shit!
I thought it would be nice if I made you something.
But here's the thing is that Catherine didn't want it finished. Do we remember why she didn't want it finished at first? Was it because she simply didn't want to pay for it? And she kind of resented being cornered by the artist, or that she had a reaction to how it was going on?
I don't recall that we were told. I recall that we were told that an outsider busted in and accosted Catherine and was fought off by other Catherine.
Okay.
I don't recall if we were told anything about why this was...
I thought for sure we had something mentioned about why the painting hadn't been accepted before, but we'll keep going.
Or, well, finish the original at least.
I was rather moved by Flora's explanation, but I could sense an odd chill in the room.
It is rather impressive. Can I have it?
Everyone chuckled nervously.
By all means. Wait. Who just talked?
That was Catherine with a K.
Okay. Oh no, Margaret said it.
Yeah.
Margaret said...
Can I have it? Yeah.
It is rather impressive. Can I have it? By all means. Please have it. Keep it under your bed and look at it when I'm out of the room.
Margaret furrowed her brow and several of the other sisters inhaled sharply. That is to say nothing of Flora, who looked heartbroken.
You don't like it? I never said that. But it is mine, yes? You're giving it to me? That is very kind.
I thought she said it was going to go in the sacristy, and Catherine is now just kind of steamrolling that.
Margaret said that she wanted it, and it's mine to give, and I am feeling kind. Catherine, I was joking. You can't just give it to her. Well, I do not want it. I'm sorry, it's quite good. I just don't.
Something about being reminded of either the person who wanted to paint it originally or herself at maybe a reminder of what she had lost. That standing in that society and now is forced to be a nun under conditions she doesn't wish to be.
So whoever wants it, they can have it, just as long as they hang it up somewhere I don't have to look at it. Is that fair? Maybe you should give it to my father. What are you on about? Seems as good a courting gift as any. I'm not stupid, Catherine. You think I don't play dumb. You've been buttering him up ever since he got here. I'm trying to be nice to him.
Is she seeing Crispin as a way out? Is this not just Catherine doing normal horny Catherine shit, and instead Catherine being like, this dude is my ticket out of here. Sorry, Margaret, I'm going to start banging your dad.
Why? Because he's your father, Margaret. I thought I wanted to do right by you. Yeah, well, I think you're full of shit.
Margaret stormed out of the room. She was angrier than I had ever seen her. I was so dumbfounded that I wasn't sure what to say. Eustace remained stoic and Flora looked crestfallen, but Violet and Bridget were clearly doing their best to mask giggles. Did Violet and Bridget... No, because they don't know enough of the score around here. They're probably just like, this is so silly and stupid. Why would people react like this? Unable to escape, I tried to guide the conversation back toward the matter at hand. What's wrong with the painting, Sister Catherine? I knew that Catherine with a K had an aversion to paintings, but even still, I was surprised that she would reject such a gesture. Is this a Dorian Gray scenario? If Flora finishes capturing your likeness, does that mean that your likeness is now bound to the portrait? Her reaction was utterly baffling to me. Flora had struggled with finishing the face for a while, no doubt, but the final product was full of warmth and character. One could never know how misshapen and alien it had once looked, looking at the final piece. So even if she didn't like paintings very much, why was Catherine with a K so upset?
It's wrong. Those are my clothes. The likeness is very good. But it isn't me. What do you mean?
Oh, dang. Catherine was staring dead ahead into the portrait's eyes. Is it again because it's Catherine as a noble and not Catherine as she is now? This is a Catherine she can never be again.
Or is it because Catherine isn't Catherine?
Catherine isn't Catherine theory? Oh, hold on, here we go. It looked as if she was meeting her own twin for the very first time.
I remember sitting for this portrait clear as day. I was not smiling. I am sorry, do whatever you like with it, but I cannot accept this.
She turned and marched out of the room as well. Part of me thinks Eustace knew this was going to happen. And just kind of like, in her own way, has removed herself from blame of this being like, it's not my job anymore. This isn't, I don't have any right to say anything. I don't have a right to step in and stop her from making this mistake.
What did I do?
No idea.
Yes, you do. Don't lie, Eustace. I know you're being polite, but you could have easily prevented Flora from making this decision if you had wanted to. You chose not to. Don't lie.
I thought she'd like it.
Pfwah. Well, she's a bit rude, isn't she?
I don't understand. It looks lovely.
And what was that about her and Margaret's die?
I don't want to get in the middle of whatever that is.
Another thing that Eustace can probably figure out and is... does Eustace sound kind of defeated? Like, usually she was all for, like... Remember, she was all, like, keep putting her nose in things, trying to keep Hedwig out. And now she made a big show of, like, I'm done doing that. And she's, like, just kind of passively letting things happen.
Maybe so.
She no longer feels the need. Has she kind of seen her role as, like, in a way, keeping the peace?
And is now like, fuck it, I give up.
Yeah, fuck it, I give up, let the whole thing burn. I'm done running interference for all you fucks.
I don't want to get into the middle of whatever that is. And neither should you.
I'm only curious.
I thought she would have at least appreciated the effort.
She should have. And she will.
It's too good likeness to say mad about, I reckon.
Yes, she'll come around, surely.
Oh, it seems like these two were actually rooting for Violet. Not for Violet, rooting for Flora.
Yeah, best
Yeah.
buds.
I mean, they were kind of off giggling in the corner, but it seems like they really expected this to go over well for Flora.
She's just upset about something else and is taking it out on you. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I wasn't sure how sincere Eustace was being.
Well, I think I have some work to do in the cellars.
I think Adela wanted us to help rotate some barrels or something. Do you want to know how many barrels I can rotate in my head?
How many?
47.
Wow.
I tried 48 once and I got a migraine. Funny that, ain't it? Sounds a bit easy.
And now they're like immediately dashing, right, and kind of leaving Flora. They seem like fair weather friends for Flora.
The younger pair darted out of the room. Eustace sighed deeply.
Do you have any idea what that was about?
It was difficult speaking to her alone like this. My heart began to race as soon as our eyes locked. As righteous as I felt, I could not bear to spend much time around Eustace while I waited for the hammer to fall. I haven't a clue. I was hoping you would know.
Search me.
I've never seen Margaret so worked up.
I have.
Do you see the slight change to sad Eustace? Yep.
Never mind.
Well, I think I'll go and make sure they're not fighting in the cloister. I had good news to deliver to Catherine. Perhaps it would cheer her up. I should leave as well, I should think.
You do that.
I nodded and turned to exit the sacristy. With that little eyeball in the lower left-hand corner. I had a second difficult conversation to get to. Now, where had Catherine gotten to? There was nobody on the second floor that I could see, so I made my way downstairs. I had a hunch.
I forget. Have I already called what I think I think someone will die this episode, and have I already called that?
I don't know if you have. I mean, for us, it's been a while, so go ahead and refresh me. Who's your called shot here?
I think Catherine with a K.
Yeah, she was my called shot in the first chapter, I remember. And that was obviously wrong. But my argument had been she was getting a whole lot more personalized characterization than everyone else was at that point in time. And I thought for sure that's because she was about to get got. But I don't know. Something in me says that we've already know some deaths for certain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if part of what's going to keep the intrigue up in chapter 3 is that
somebody else will.
Someone we don't know is going to die, which might be Catherine.
Or Darcy of Plague.
Here's the thing about it being Catherine. She's, in the future, she's the one that supposedly takes the blame for it.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? She's the one whose portraiture is on the cover of the salacious novel. Which, again, novelization, but apparently it's not that out there to insist that she had a hand in it. That would be weird if she was the first one to die. Not impossible. Just want to say it would be weird. Yeah. It would be a strange series of events. So I'm going to make a bold claim. I don't think any of the main nuns are dying this chapter.
Okay.
I think the fact that we've got the sword kind of hanging over them is enough drama, and that bodies don't need to start falling for the tension to continue ratcheting up. And the thing is, I think as soon as the first body falls, that's an unavoidable fast track to a climax.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't think there's another scenario here where someone dies and we get to putz around for a few weeks trying to find the murderer. I think the moment the first body falls, we are off to the races.
See, I had figured we're getting all these things where setting up Catherine to take the fall and get blamed and so on.
Yep.
And what would interrupt that? It would be kind of tidy, right? If, the superior thinks it's Catherine and ends up pointing the finger at her and she gets dragged back with the bishop and blamed for the killing and so on. But what if they're about to do that and then she turns up dead? And then it's like, oh shit.
Is this Tatiana's novel?
I don't know.
Is the thing we're reading Hedwig's recounting of events a year in the future? Is that itself Tatiana's novel?
Could be. Good book if true.
Good book. I mean, very well written if true. I'm just wondering, are we seeing this through another layer of abstraction then, of being written with, with historical scholarism, whatever the word for that is, still with scholarly research behind it, but nonetheless filtered through the lens of a salacious novel based on historical events and maybe not telling the actual truth. Or maybe just try the best chance at putting them together based on the facts that are known. Interesting. That one, I'm not sure I fully buy that one, but it is an interesting thing to juggle.
Sure enough, Catherine with a K was seated at the little table in the cloister.
We have seen other people sit here before, though.
Mm-hmm.
Hetty had that whole conversation with Moira and Margaret that one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Marta and Charity have a monopoly on it. Hello, eyeball.
She was observing the workers in the distance, albeit with a scowl. I made my way over, bracing to be shouted at, but instead, when she saw me, Catherine offered me the other chair with a weary wave of her hand.
She really does think of Hedwig as a friend, right?
Yeah.
She wants to be in control, and she needs that kind of weird authority about her. But I think she really does think Hedwig was a friend.
Ah, Hedwig.
Yes?
I'm sorry you had to witness all that. I pride myself on my composure, but seeing that painting again... Well, I shouldn't prattle.
Please do. If it would help you to have me listen. Are you and Margaret,
Anything but that, I beg you.
Very well. There is another matter I need to talk to you about. Something rather pressing.
Oh?
I spoke to the superior about my suspicions. Her eyes flickered.
That is good news, and you think she listened?
My evidence was quite thorough.
Naturally. Well then, I suppose all there is to do now is wait. Thank you, Hedwig. Very rarely have I felt so believed in.
Of course. I must apologize for putting you through such hell with a capital H in the first place, though.
Right, because when Hedwig says it, it's a capital H hell.
It was never my intention to betray your trust to the superior.
Oh, do try not to worry about it. I'm well aware of how good she is at turning the thumbscrews, so to speak.
We sat in silence for a while, watching the builders. After a moment, Catherine spoke again in a husky whisper that set my hair on end.
If I watch them much longer, I'll turn into syrup.
Oh. She glanced at me sideways.
Last chance.
Excuse me?
Don't be coy, darling. It's very unbecoming. Would you care to accompany me?
Last chance before I go and fuck Margaret's dad.
Where?
To bed, you idiot.
I love that fucking face.
Oh,
Why travel so far? The cellar is just down there.
My word, you are something else. It's better nothing, I'm afraid.
She said that out loud?
I'm a lady, not a dog.
I would, except that I think you ought to go speak with Margaret.
Nosy.
I mean it.
Oh, Hedwig, making the gracious effort to turn down sex in favor of performatively trying to repair Catherine's relationship with Margaret.
But not before offering, but hey, how about the cellar?
Right? Like, make... But hey, how about down in the cellar?
She sighed through her nose, squinting to get a better look at the faraway workers.
You're right, of course. She said some very rude things about me, though.
Well, you were also rather rude. I understand why. Naturally, Flora's painting came as rather a shock. I'm sure, but it must have reminded you of. Catherine looked at me through narrowed eyes.
You're rather comfortable around me, considering what I've told you.
You confided in me because you trusted me. Well, I trust you. You say that he deserved it, so I must believe you joined the Abbey to seek salvation for your sins. I didn't trust her, of course. Not entirely, but it felt like the correct thing to say.
Salvation is a funny word. That man deserved what he got, and I would kill him again were he to ever return. I came here out of self-preservation, and I told you the truth out of self-preservation. But I appreciate your faith in me all the same. Trusting me is a difficult thing for anyone, I am certain.
All the more reason for you to preserve your relationship with Margaret.
Not just a pretty face, are you?
She stood up and straightened her robes.
Any idea where she got off to?
No clue, I'm afraid.
No matter. I'll find her. And if not, I'll see her at the meeting at the very least.
Meeting?
Did I say that?
Ah! What?
Catherine?
What?
Have a good evening, Hedwig.
Oh, she's purposely letting a thing slip as a thank you. She's seeing that as a thank you, letting us in on something. Like she's genuinely thankful that Hedwig stepped in and was like, "No, you need to go repair your relationship with Margaret." And as a thank you, she's letting slip something that she really shouldn't have. That's the most generous interpretation of this, and I think given how she really seems to believe her head was on the line, I don't see why she would lie about this. Meeting. What? Meeting. God, the eyeball above the fireplace. They're just everywhere now. I'm going to start only pointing them out when they're new ones.
After Catherine left to find her dearest friend, I was left to my own devices for a while. I turned to the hint she had dropped over and over in my head. Meeting? What meeting? I wonder if this is I wonder if this is not necessarily an in-group type meeting, but Catherine remarking that the nuns themselves have their own kind of not self-governance, but, they tend to take care of their own. The way we've seen kind of charity exert authority and step up when around the other nuns of the congregation, I gotta wonder if on occasion they do meet outside of the superior and Angela's eye and just hash things out.
I wonder.
What meeting?
And obviously Hedwig would not be party to this yet or privy to this yet because she is new.
I found myself pacing around the dormitory hall. It was quiet. The others were elsewhere. All except for Darcy, of course.
If Darcy dies, you're the last one to have talked to her while she's alive, right? I'm just pointing that out, Hetty.
I felt a pang of sympathy each time I passed her door. Darcy? Darcy? I finally decided to knock gently, but there was no answer. Ever so carefully, I opened it. I opened her door a crack. She was still in bed, but I could see her chest rising and falling. Thank God for that, at least. I whispered her a little well wish and then left for downstairs. The men had retreated for the night. The men had retired for the night. It was too dark to work. For a moment, I enjoyed the relative silence. I could still faintly hear the sounds of the camp, but it was the most peaceful the cloister had been for a while. Curiously, I could see light flickering inside the chapel through the windows. What was happening in there this late in the evening? Surely my fellow sisters hadn't suddenly decided to practice all of the hours. Light flickering inside the chapel. Okay, so maybe this is the meeting. I jogged across the grass toward the church and crept low as I approached. There was a voice droning inside. Charity's voice?
Yep, you
Yep.
called it.
Yep.
It was rather difficult to make out through the window, however. It was echoed and muffled by the stone. One thing was for certain, this was the meeting Catherine had alluded to. I glanced at the front door. Out of the question. But then I remembered the back entrance that Margaret and I had plundered off of furniture some time ago. I raced around to the side of the building around the build site, taking but a brief moment to marvel at how fast the clock tower was coming along. Slipping through the back door, I was immediately greeted by a much clearer voice. I pressed my ear against the wooden door that separated this small room from the back of the chapel. Unfortunately, I seemed to have made it to the tail end of whatever meeting I was eavesdropping on.
Questions and comments and so on. Violet? Wait, they invited Violet?
What?
So wait, hold on, what?
Is this an everybody but Hedwig meeting?
Oh, wait, no, hold on. What if this is just like a nice get-to-know-you kind of orientation for the two new ones?
Oh no, but Hedwig's gonna think it's a sinister continuation of the Omni plot that she's investigating.
Right, which, again, might still exist, but I wonder if the presence of Violet and Bridget is meant to be like, no, this is just a nice how do you do.
I furrowed my brow. The newcomers were here?
Has the congregation always been this small?
I believe so. We've always been a little out of the way. I suppose it could have been more populated at one point.
I'll ask the real question. Who was this Sister Catherine with a C I've heard so many people whispered about? Catherine II or something?
There was a slight pause before any response.
Oh, Sister...
Well, Sister Catherine II, was a beloved member of this congregation who is no longer here.
I gathered that much. What happened to her? She died or she just get kicked out?
Violet, I don't think this is for us to know.
There's nothing wrong with asking. Hopefully you could accept that we'd rather not talk about it.
Of course.
Forget that. You have a right to know, I should think. Every time I heard her name come up, everyone's gone all weird. If I have to shut up about her, at least I'd like to know why.
Well,
I could hear footsteps and muffled whispering, and pauses as I have to change my voice every other line.
I suppose you do have a right to know. She was killed by a young man from the village.
Charity now has Tatiana's voice.
Oh, she was killed by a young man from the village. Thank you. I had... It's been like a month for us, okay? Let me have some leeway here.
That's not what Flora says.
Hey.
I do not appreciate this sort of subterfuge. What have you told them, Flora?
Nothing too much. Just let some of my thoughts slip, probably. I don't know.
And what sort of thoughts might those be?
Ghost.
Speak up now.
I was not used to hearing Charity act this authoritative. I had only heard it once before, now that I thought about it.
Yep, and that's kind of what clued me in.
In a meeting very similar to this one.
Just talked about the ghost once or twice, probably.
I was wondering if maybe a ghost could chase Catherine with a C off and, We're all too scared to say something.
Or didn't want to scare us.
Or maybe she is a ghost.
It is a great deal less spectacular than that. Sister Catherine was killed by a young man from the village who had come to deliver us the mail. He was always a mite obsessed with her, and she rebuffed his advances and, died for it. That is why the bishop is here. All that in performing your rites. But primarily he came here to collect the poor wretch.
So if a lad from the village killed her, why is he still here?
And when's he going to get taken away? When's the bishop leaving?
A good question. And that man is a bit of a lazy sort.
I suspect he'll go when the superior's tired of him.
The attendees chuckled knowingly.
Are we safe? From this madman. I shouldn't like to run into him.
He's being held far away in the hospitalum. I gritted my teeth. Could only hope that the bishop was correct and James was far, far away. Every time, Marta.
Catherine and I alternate bringing him meals.
Wait, you haven't been able to bring him meals for a while. You know he's gone. You know he's gone.
It's quite secure.
And better yet, so does Catherine then.
To be fair, we don't know it's been a while.
True. But we also know where the first, because they just went to, was it literally earlier today? I think it was literally earlier today in the game that they went. So at the very latest, tomorrow they will discover he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, but they went to check on that before they saw Crispin for lunch. Before Hedwig saw Crispin for lunch. So, depending on what time they bring meals, right? That's going to be important.
Not necessarily, because we also don't know when in the past. It could be there was some time ago, and they both know as well.
Right. I'm saying at the very latest, right? Like we putting a boundary on when they would have to know, which I guess is when they give him food tomorrow.
I wouldn't worry.
It wouldn't be long until someone noticed his absence, surely.
Now, hang on. How far away is this hospitalum?
Oh, it's quite a walk, dear. Well outside the walls.
Why?
You'd have to ask the fellows who built it.
Who were they then, huh?
Haven't the foggiest. Fury was welling up inside of me. Was this meeting purely for the sake of bringing these girls up to date with the history of Linbarrow? I had never received this sort of treatment. Is there anything else, dears?
No, thank you, Sister Charity.
I suppose that's all for now.
Very good. I could hear footsteps again. If you girls ever need more help, just ask. I heard mumbled thank yous from the young oblates. After some footsteps and shuffling, I heard the large front door opening and closing. And they had left then. Now then, on to our second order of business. More footsteps, closer this time. Charity was very animated this evening. One moment, I should get a chair. I was not built for standing at the pulpit.
Uh-oh.
I realized far too late the footsteps were headed in my direction. I attempted to scramble away from the door, but in the dark I managed to fumble and trip over a chair leg. Ow! Ah.
Sister Hedwig?
I was dragged into the torchlit chapel to explain myself. Nearly everyone was here. Darcy was absent, naturally, as were Angela and the Superior. The rest of the Abbey was here, though, glowering at me as I stood between pews looking up at Charity's disappointed gaze. Now, what were you doing sneaking around like that,
This is exactly what we called this meeting about, Charity. It turns out that one is a sneak after all.
Oh, shit!
And a bit of a freak.
I must say, I'm disappointed to find you like this, Hedwig. I am sorry.
Why are you spying on us, Hedwig?
I mean, Hedwig could easily say, literally everyone else was in the chapel and I wasn't invited. Naturally, I got curious. Like, that's not an unreasonable thing to... I looked at Catherine, my strongest present ally. She shook her head ever so slightly. There's really nothing so nefarious about it. Anything you've noticed is a series of coincidences, I'm sure.
Not bloody likely.
You'll have to do better than that, Hedwig.
If I may, Hedwig, she's been curious as of late. Curious about Sister Catherine, much like those other two girls were.
I opened my mouth to add to this, but I noticed Eustace look at me pointedly. Ho-hum! Suppose it has been impossible to keep a tight lid on these things, and a chronicler would be naturally interested, but you weren't just trying to fill in the gaps, were you? No, Sister Charity.
I suspect that gap in our history grew to be a gap in Hedwig's understanding, perhaps of her place here.
That's a lovely sentiment, Eustace, but you should let Hedwig speak for her. Eustace is correct. Well then. Suppose you can be forgiven for sneaking about with that in mind. It was that whistling, Sister Charity. I gather that was a signal to meet here. Indeed. For my part, it was not intended to be quite so, mysterious. More than anything, we just like to keep the superior and the prioress out of this sort of thing. And me. Charity smiled sheepishly. I must confess. That is because you have been a primary subject as of late. Oh, Hedwig, suddenly the fear that everyone's talking about you behind your back is absolutely 100% true.
Oh yeah, we're all talking about you behind your back constantly.
What? Not just this meeting, then. People are worried about you, Hedwig. You've seemed a little off. Preoccupied, quick-tempered.
You like taking your clothes off in public? Bit weird.
Yes, Flora, thank you.
Hedwig has been under a lot of stress.
Really, Eustace, let the woman speak.
I just mean to say that she has confided in me more than once regarding her suspicions of Catherine.
Suspicions?
About her death. Again, much like those younger girls, Hedwig seems to be under the impression that Catherine with a C might not have died at all.
I narrowed my eyes involuntarily. That had been her suggestion to me many days ago. What sort of move was this? It was a bold choice at the very least. A disappointed murmur was echoing around the chapel. Is that so? I could feel everyone's eyes on me. I turned to meet all of their faces. All of them looked bemused and somewhat hurt.
If I may.
Well, I mean, it's only because I was actually correct about a conspiracy of information being kept from me and talking behind my back. I mean, it's not paranoia if they're actually out to get you, right?
Oh, Hedwig being the exact amount of right to be awfully, horribly wrong. You need a certain admixture of correctness in the paranoia to make it really hit good.
That's the secret sauce right there, is once you get the thing that actually confirms it. Oh man. Who was the famous paranoid dude who actually died in a shootout with the FBI or whatever? Who am I thinking of?
I have no idea.
God, I'll look it up later. Someone will remind me.
I think might be worth taking Hedwig to her grave. That might provide some necessary closure.
You mean now?
What better time?
Daytime.
Interesting how Flora is in on this, though.
The sooner the better, I should think. If there are any feelings of it festering, they should be addressed quickly.
Now, is Adela here? She said
she hasn't spoken yet, but we haven't heard anything about her not being here.
Right.
She said almost everybody, and Darcy wasn't.
Except
and Angela and Superior.
Darcy and Angela and the Superior, right?
Yeah.
So Adela is here. So when when Hedwig had confronted her earlier, Adela knew what it meant, but also had understanding at that point of like maybe also understand how long it took for her to get let into the fold. Or because remember she didn't dismiss Hedwig.
Yep.
But instead kind of gave her a like, sometimes, I after being here a while discovered sometimes I wasn't ready to be let out on things yet. Something to that effect. So not dismissing her, but also like, being like, yeah, you're not wrong to feel like that, but maybe hold on to that for now.
If there are any feelings festering, they should be addressed quickly.
I see your point. I could do with a brisk walk, I suppose. Anyone else here be opposed? Nobody spoke up.
One of you's gonna have to push me. Does one's duty never end?
I wonder if there were any sharp whistles we missed during the first act.
I don't know.
We should pay attention for that on a rewatch.
It had grown so dark that it was necessary to stop by the workshop to acquire torches.
Also, how are they doing this without Angela or the Superior knowing? Meeting in the chapel with the lights on, right? Like, that's not hiding. Maybe they know maybe they know what happens and that they're not invited.
I could also fully believe that the Superior just knows less about what's going on than she thinks she does, and that Angela knows people are getting together but thinks it's just for general sodomy and debauchery and...
Oh, wait, no, that checks out. Because the Superior rarely leaves her own kind of cloister, forgive me for saying, her office, right? And Angela has an idea of what is happening already. And so she sees no reason to push it or confirm it. Interesting.
The men in camp, noticing our large group, all regarded us with curiosity as we traveled between their tents.
Need an escort, good sisters?
Oh, pack it in. We're just enjoying a brisk stroll up the hill.
As you wish, good sister.
We made our way in a great black throng, through the camp and down the path. After a while, we tacked right, taking the same track that Darcy had taken me down on our way to the sheep. Eventually, however, Eustace, who took the lead after Charity slowed down to walk with Marta, closer to the back of the group, led us up a trail I had not taken yet. After cresting the peak of the hillock, stone structure slowly came into view. There was a cemetery here, one that I had not visited before, and another place that Hedwig is unaware of where someone might hide.
Yep.
Some of the sisters chatted idly in quiet whispers behind me. I couldn't help but feel like I was being kept prisoner. Surrounded by a low stone wall, dozens of headstones littered the grass ahead of us. A larger mausoleum stood toward the back of this graveyard. In the shadows, the lowlier grave markers surrounding this crypt looked like the faithful approaching their church, all in miniature. I stepped towards this largest grave, but the group stopped short of me.
Where are you going?
I thought the mausoleum might be hers. The others tittered.
We should all hope to be so lucky.
I think that's where the founder rests.
Oh. I retreated back to the circle of sisters who were all gathering around one of the more modest graves.
Still, it's a place that Hedwig doesn't know about where someone could potentially be hiding out, where no one has any reason to go, and they also didn't want her to go closer to.
Yep.
So, Well, isn't it half chilly out here? Even with the torches.
This won't take long. Not unless,
Unless what?
Hedwig, this is Sister Catherine's final resting place. We buried her here the same night she died. It took a lot of effort. Her body was in quite a state. 2 pieces, in fact, as you know. Did you know she was stabbed as well?
No.
Twice. Once in the side, and once in the neck.
I stared down at the earth. Grass had begun to grow over where her casket laid, but the outline was still visible.
I know it might be tempting to believe that she's still out there somewhere. Even in some twisted, angry form. But she is not. She is in here. And her body bears out that story. There's a spade leaning against that mausoleum. If you would like to see for yourself, you could.
A few of the others made disgusted noises.
Eustace!
That's horrible, Eustace.
I'm just trying to make a point. If Hedwig doesn't believe all the rest of the evidence, she can take a look for herself. It would not be pretty, but it would be proof.
What is this? Why torture me so?
Torture? This isn't torture. This is respect. You overheard what we told Violet and Bridget, no doubt. Do you see them here? You are now one of us, and they aren't. Well, you can be, anyway. If you can put Catherine to rest, and stop treating everyone around you like a criminal, a comfortable life awaits you here.
Well said. Yes, I would like to be able to trust and cherish you, Hedwig. I know it must be awful feeling like there's something you don't know, but there isn't anything else to know. Yeah. If only the Superior could be convinced. It sounds like that might be what truly matters. However, I should feel much more relaxed if Hedwig were to accept things.
Did I detect a wink from Catherine? Noticed that she and Margaret were sitting together. It was a small comfort, but I could deduce that my advice had served Catherine well. Thank God for that, I thought. I could count on her as an ally still at the very least. I want you to trust us, and I want to trust you. I looked from sister to sister. Only Flora remained quiet, but she looked just as determined as the rest. I shot Catherine a glance I intended to be meaningful, but her expression was unreadable. Eustace had clearly put a lot of effort into her appeal, but she was too late. I had already turned her in. Surely it was in my best interest to simply stall. I could play along. I could pretend to be my usual stubborn self to keep Eustace in the dark for now. I am not sure what difference my acceptance makes.
It's as I've told you before. What happened to Catherine is impossibly sad. But it was a random act of violence. We will never forget her. However, that is a sorrow for us to bear. We had her, and we lost her. It is touching. It is genuinely touching. She meant so much to you, with so little connection. But you must let us grieve her without your meddling. To you, it might look like a mystery to be solved, or an adventure to undertake. And to us, it's just a wound that needs to be left alone to heal.
That would be so much more meaningful if you hadn't told us explicitly you don't believe that she was the victim of random murder. Like, I might even be moved by this if you hadn't told us however many days ago that you don't believe it. It's like me bullshitting when we have Danmaku nights, right? You can only appeal to emotions so many times before people are like, wait, you've played all sides of this. Who are you?
Everyone else nodded in unison.
Will you join the congregation properly? Will you put away your suspicions? We all want you here. The real Hedwig is welcome.
I cast my eyes back down at the earth beneath my feet. Was her body really in there? I looked back up at Eustace. Did she know? Had she realized her, Catherine's, shoulder bone was missing? She was inscrutable as ever. Perhaps this was another pointed message, but if I wanted to win, I had to keep playing. I took a deep breath and then did what I did best. Of course, Eustace. I'm so sorry, everyone, for deceiving you, or at the very least, not offering you all of myself. Hiding the real me. I lied.
Motherfuck, this is good.
I also love how Eustace immediately leapt to the defense for Hedwig in this. The whole "I am on your side" thing. Like, it would have been so easy to freeze Hedwig out. Like, that would have gone very differently if it wasn't for Eustace's intervention. She's genuinely trying. She's genuinely trying to do what she thinks is best for Hedwig, which is shut up, don't look into it, just let things go back to normal.
Right, because she genuinely seems to believe something, there was foul play here, but also doesn't believe in her own ability to do anything about it, and has decided that acquiescence is safer.
After a moment of contemplation, Eustace nodded.
Oh, also, we're in a new chapter now, guilt.
Apology accepted.
I don't think she needed to apologize, truth be told. Anyone would get a little worked up, let alone someone cooped up their whole life, thrust into all of this.
I agree. I mean, I'm a little offended, but I shouldn't be. Makes sense why you were acting so bloody weird.
I wonder if even a Hedwig deciding to, do her whole streaking habit was actually also a calculated ploy to throw suspicion off of other things, right? If she's acting weird enough in that way, then it means she's not acting, then, that kind of distracts from her other acting weird.
I mean, does it?
It's a gambit. Like, how much of Breaking Bad have you seen?
I forget.
All right, I'm going to spoil a little bit from, I think it's season 3. One of the ways that Walter kind of throws suspicion off from his wife is, especially when he goes away missing for a while, is he shows back up naked in a department store somewhere, completely. He just shows up naked in the store after being missing for a long time, claiming not to know where he is or how he got there, and him being in a fugue state distracts from all the other incredibly suspicious things about his behavior, right?
See, I don't believe this. Here's my counterexample. Suppose someone's running down the street with a gun.
Yep.
Suppose they want people to not notice that they have a gun.
Sure.
Will they notice it less if they're running down the streets nude with a gun?
I think that's different.
But also, what happens when someone shows up in a fugue state, not knowing where they were and what went on? What happens is immediately people begin to investigate where they were and what went on.
Yep. But at the end of it, what happens is that you successfully get things blamed on. He successfully gets things blamed on having a fugue state rather than going off to cook meth for a while.
See, this I don't buy. This I don't buy.
You're welcome to not buy it, but I think it's a valid gambit. Right? So I'm just saying that there's a version of it that where Hedwig leans into that as a way to kind of play up, oh, I'm distressed and not making good decisions, and offer that as a more plausible explanation for her behavior, right?
And to cover up what?
To cover up why, to give a different reason for why she's been acting so untrustworthy and poking into people's things, rather than she actually is trying to figure out who murdered Catherine. She's offering a different explanation of her being like, oh, I'm so, rattled and I'm still having trouble adjusting that I'm making strange decisions and I'm clearly am just unwell, not calculating, right? I'm just stressed and making poor decisions. It's not me poking into things and learning things I shouldn't. But I'm not saying it's a good one. I'm saying it's a valid one It's a potential reading of events.
But yeah, apology accepted here too. Or not needed. I don't know.
Everyone reached out to touch me. My shoulders, my back, my side. It was meant to be reassuring, but I held my breath in fear. Satis est. The whole congregation responded at once.
Satis est.
No more.
Satis est.
I thought we were getting at least one other member of the congregation.
I had no intention of honoring my words.
What would they have done if she had said no up there?
All right, we're digging a second grave.
No, really. I want to just. Was there any other way? Was there any other ending that scenario for Hetty? If she says no, I'm still suspicious of all y'all. Do they like? Well, that's unfortunate. We're not letting you in our inner circle then. They generally don't seem like willing or like wanting to be killing people, but like, would there have been a second grave then?
I pondered, however, as we began our walk back toward the Abbey, whether it might be best to make good on my apology. What did I have to gain by continuing to lie? Not much. Not anymore. Once Eustace was arrested and gone, I would be able to make real amends. Live the relaxed life that she was promising me, just without her as a part of it.
How does Hedwig still think it's Eustace at this point? Right, because she at this point, because we can sit back and kind of analyze Eustace's intentions here and kind of rightfully come to the conclusion, I think, that she is suspicious that something else went on, but also doesn't feel like she can make a difference of it and wants to keep Hedwig safe. Maybe just Hedwig has been in this train of thought for so long that it's like, no, that must be it.
I could just barely make out the silhouette of the Abbey in the distance, surrounded by little white tents peeking out from behind a hill. Almost my whole life had been spent here. My whole life would be spent here. My whole life will be spent here. The waters were choppy now, but what if I just held on to something to get through all of this? All storms pass. All waters return to a state of calm, eventually. Would this pain and guilt last until I made it to Charity's age? To Marta's age? I watched them walk, each of them helping each other with sections of the trail and terrain that would give them trouble. Would I have someone like that in my life when I grew old? Not if I continued to upset and betray these women. Not if I kept pushing them away. Behind me, Eustace tripped, nearly sending her torch rolling down the hill. I managed to catch it, stomping out the patch of grass that had almost lit. Everyone turned to see what had happened, but by the time they had, Eustace had already composed herself and retrieved the torch from my extended hand.
Thank you.
A little further down the hill, Flora spoke up.
So, who is the ghost then?
I winced.
We said satis est.
That was Eustace's silly prank, Flora, remember?
That's right.
Even the one that chased me broke my leg? I was worried it was Catherine too at one point, but I don't know.
Everyone stopped and turned to face Flora.
I guess it's a prank. Doesn't, leg pranks starting now.
Flora also hasn't told everybody about this yet, right?
Oh, maybe she hasn't. I thought she had, but
The story was the wind blew the door shut on her leg.
Right. But now, so I for some reason when it became clear that Flora was on the inside of this, I thought that she had either shared it with them already, or what she chose to share with Hedwig was calculated. I hadn't even considered that she hadn't shared that with anyone on the inside here.
What do you mean? Well, just if we're having a big heart-to-heart and getting it all off our chests, who was the ghost?
It was no one. A trick of the light, maybe.
Absolutely not. It was real and Hedwig saw it too. Isn't that right, Hedwig?
Well, I might have.
Come on.
It is hard to deny that I saw something there, but it's harder still to believe it. I thanked God that Angela was not here, but I felt awful leaving Flora in the lurch.
Hedwig, Are you serious?
What other explanation is there?
I assessed my own options as quickly as I could. Flora was correct. There was no denying what we had seen. Likewise, there was no explaining what Angela and I had seen. A pang of regret struck my heart as I looked into Flora's eyes. That was the one problem with living up to my new promise to the congregation. Being open and truthful and leaving the investigation behind me meant ignoring the very real unnatural occurrences we had witnessed. What would happen if I admitted to witnessing them now? Eustace would catch on to me immediately. Only I, Flora, and Angela knew of the mystical nature of Eustace's likely crimes, and only Angela knew that I suspected Eustace. There was no way to explain this to Flora here in front of everyone else. Neither path before me was entirely truthful. Something strange happened to us that night, Flora, but it wasn't one of these women, and it wasn't a ghost. We were swallowed by the dark of night, I should think. Odd noise in a black hallway becomes a terrifying monster very easily. Eustace nodded approvingly. Flora, however, looked as if her spirit had just given up.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Wow, Flora really had been holding on to us, huh?
The journey back to the Abbey continued. My heart ached. If only I could tell Flora what I had done. What I had done for her. Oh no, if only I could tell Flora that what I had done for her.
Did Hedwig break Flora's leg? There's a version of events where that checks out.
I prayed the Superior would act swiftly so I could tell her the truth. Something landed on my nose. I wiped it off instinctively. It melted in my hand immediately. I looked up in the sky to see countless flecks of light dancing in the torchlight. It had begun to snow. That night, I dreamed of pikemen and pursuit once more.
Pikeman in Pursuit is one of Austen's lesser-regarded novels.
I woke up the next morning feeling chilly. My feet touched the stone floor as I got out of bed. I inhaled sharply. It was so cold that it was a little shocking.
What, did you never feel what snow felt like in your old room? Or what winter felt like?
Is the cold less shocking, having witnessed it many times before? It's pretty shocking to put your feet on a cold stone floor.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, you're right.
When my feet touched the stone floor as I got out of bed, I inhaled sharply. It was so cold it was a little shocking.
Oh, wait.
I made my way over to the window and threw it open. The whole world was white. I was still reeling from last night's conversation. I mulled my options over again as if I hadn't made my choice already. Poor Flora. I squirmed. The floor really was remarkably cold. Too curious to let the opportunity pass, I walked to the center of the room and laid down. The sensation of frigid stone against my skin woke me up faster than any breakfast could. It was difficult to stay in one place without wincing. Eventually I retreated and stood back up to get dressed. I felt rather invigorated. Flora would forgive me once I told her the whole story. She was young. But where was James?
I'm amazed I've seen zero fan art of Hedwig enjoying the floor.
Have you gone looking for it?
Yes!
Wait, really? You didn't tell me about this. You've been looking for Hedwig cross-floor fan art?
I've been looking for any Misericorde art that there is, and I haven't seen any of Hedwig enjoying the floor.
Y'all know where to reach us. If you've got Hedwig and floor fan art, you know where to discreetly send it to us. Oh, look, there's an eyeball on her bed.
Wait, where?
Right.
Whoa!
Right there.
Yep.
Has that one always been? That one's a subtle one.
This question stuck in my mind for a while as I pulled my clothes on. Did I need to know? He was gone. The spell Eustace had taught him had worked, it would seem. Perhaps it had taken him far away, so far away that I need not worry.
This magic thing is so convenient in that it gives everyone reasons to act ways that to us, the reader, are like, oh no, that makes no sense.
Yep.
But if you really believe that that's the thing, then you have no reason to assume that he's still lurking around here, as he obviously must be.
Right? And it's like, it would be so easy to just stop thinking and let yourself believe, right? To accept the narrative that's put before you. All you have to do is accept what's put before you, Hedwig. And if you do, all of this can be yours.
I could hear doors opening. I flattened my robes against my body and left the room.
Can someone light a fire already? It's bloody cold.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Has everyone seen the snow? It's beautiful.
One interesting thing about snow is that people now leave footprints. I don't know how important that's going to be, but worth pointing out.
There's ways around it.
There are ways around it, but are there ways that you're thinking about in the 1400s? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, do we assume?
I'm recalling a prominent mystery novel I read where ways around footprints in the snow were a mechanism.
Oh, there are plenty of ways to get around it. Like it's not impossible to do. It's just a consideration now that wasn't there before.
Looks the same as it does every year.
I didn't join in, but I stood next to the conversation and smiled amiably. With a loud creak, Catherine's door opened. She and Margaret emerged, yawning and stretching.
Aw, good for them.
Lovely weather we're having. Can we please get a... Oh, Eustace has already taken care of it. Thanks.
Catherine crossed the room and entered Flora's. Idle chatter continued. Adele emerged from her room and expressed the same desire for warmth as the others. Then she noticed Eustace busying herself by the fireplace, just as they had. Can none of them also light a fire? Because their reaction to it's cold is, won't someone start a fire? Not, hold on, let me go get that fire started.
Or are they all lazy?
So there is that as well. I don't want to discount that as a possibility. But it definitely feels like if it really was that big of a bother, the easiest thing to do is go set it, and no one has gone to do that themselves, and instead been like, oh, okay, Eustace is like... I'm not discounting potential laziness. It's interesting that Eustace is the one who, without prompting, had been like, yeah, I'm on it.
The fire had roared to life finally, and Darcy's door opened. My heart caught in my throat, but I relaxed as soon as she emerged.
I had been in my back of my head thinking, like, if Darcy dies, Hedwig is going to be the one who killed her, right? Right? But no, Darcy is fine. Okay.
But wait. I kind of forgot, though, about the whole thing where the town's dead of fucking plague also.
Not
that's
dead
just
of
going
plague,
on.
But there's a whole lot of... Right, and they haven't mentioned it to anyone because Darcy's like, I don't know whether or not I've brought it back yet, and I need to be sure.
Yep.
Which... I understand the reason behind it, right?
Yep.
But now she's out and she's okay, so the first thing they do better be, let's tell everyone about the plague, and if it's not, we're going to start being worried, right? Right? We're like, I'm not even saying it was the right idea for her to do that and keep that information at first, but it wasn't unreasonable. As long as, now that she's here and safe, there's the follow-through, right? That's the important part.
Everyone cheered for her, and she chuckled, waving them off.
I am fine. I can tell you all about it later.
She looked for me in the crowd, and when our eyes met, she winked slowly. I smiled back, feeling genuinely relieved.
You know, weirdly, for someone who allegedly isn't trusted by the in-group, people do trust Hedwig with a lot of secrets.
Yeah.
Just, strange kind of like... It's as if some people, whether or not they're in the in-group, like Darcy is, have decided on their own that Hedwig is good and trustworthy with some things.
It's almost like people have all kinds of conflicting motives and aren't driven by one overarching group purpose.
Yes, that's the point. I want to hammer that home. That's an important point that bears repeating. Thank you. Just because there is an in-group doesn't mean the in-group is unified in its purpose or all firing in the same direction, right? there can be conflict within the in-group, as shown by Flora. So, sorry if I'm not a smart person with these things, and it helps me to say it aloud and reiterate it and get it solidly in there, okay? You don't need to make fun of me when I do that, Vivian.
I'm not.
Vivian. I thought you were my reading buddy.
I am your reading buddy.
Okay.
Flora's door opened and worry gripped me as Catherine wheeled her out. However, I was relieved once again to see that Flora was chipper and animated. In fact, she looked happier than I had seen her in a long time.
I guess Flora also kind of just decided to let it go and accept the happiness put before her, right?
Bridget and Violet emerged from their rooms as well, and they too looked bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
So what ruins it today? This is
Well,
too good.
Darcy has to tell everyone about the plague.
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
one, right? So, Darcy has to tell everyone about the plague.
And
Unless they are lying, they will notice James is gone today.
And also, the superior and bishop are probably going to act in some way. Or we're just
So we
going to have
got-
a 3-part clusterfuck. Like, everyone finally thinks things are fine and good, and then it all goes to shit.
Yeah, right. We got
Draw curtains.
3-car pileup.
There she is.
There they are. Did you see the snow? Is that... It's so pretty. I love snow.
As do I.
The pair of them followed Catherine with a K and Flora out of the dorm, chattering loudly. The rest of us left soon after. Snow now coated the cloister grass, which hid the ugly divots that had been left in the dirt by the builders. Ahead of me, Adela paused to take it all in, a wistful tone in her voice.
Snow. I suppose a bonfire is out of the question tonight.
Probably best just to gather the Misericorde instead.
But we cannot invite everyone to that. I was hoping that more would be able to attend.
It's a good point. Well, we'll think of something.
Have you ever seen snow before, Hedwig?
Well, I've seen it outside my window many times before.
But have you touched it?
I thought back to the handful of times little piles of snow had formed on my windowsill in the cell. I'd held them in my hand and felt them melt, but that was different than being in the snow. I've never walked through it.
Even as a child? I guess maybe that's not an important point in this context, right? She was a child then. She would barely remember, if at all.
Not that I can remember, at least. Perhaps as a child, but not as I am now.
There you go. There's another one for the why bother saying things. The game will get to it in 2 lines compilation.
As we walked through the cloister toward the chapel, Adela stooped down low and gathered some snow in her hand.
Snowball fight?
Before I knew what was happening, she whipped her wrist forward, planting a ball of snow square in my chest. Adela!
Ha ha ha! I am sorry, it was hard to resist. Here, watch this.
She picked up more snow and whipped it forward, faster and harder, toward the nearest figure ahead of us.
Ow. What in?
Adela looked mortified as the woman ahead of us turned around angrily.
So sorry, Sister Angela. That was highly inappropriate.
She shot me a wounded look.
Somebody might get hurt. I apologize again, Sister Angela. It will not happen again.
Angela turned away and continued walking. Adela cleared her throat and we continued onward to service.
Good call. I like it when you add in the sound effects that are hinted at in the narration.
That morning service went by in a blur. Just like song 2.
As they say, woohoo.
Afterward, I followed the superior to her office on the pretense of continuing our chess lessons. I was anxious. The longer Eustace stayed at the Abbey, the more nervous I became. When would she be detained? I was not a good enough actress to pretend forever.
We have time for one game, I suppose. I am rather busy today.
What with?
The Abbey does not run itself, Sister Hedwig. There are many things I do day to day.
She relented somewhat while she arranged pieces on the board.
Today, however, I have paperwork.
I also, in a weird way, I also don't doubt that that's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, she's got the managerial end of it.
Yep.
And when you have managerial work, it's easy to forget the kind of actual legwork as well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, I remember when I was like one of the big dick managers at my old bookstore. It was interesting how quickly that the big management work became the work I was expected to do, and very little of the actual work on the ground, right? And it's kind of incredible how quickly that changes, and it really makes it easy to see how people in like the soup's position could be like, oh, I've got all this stuff I need to do to keep it running. Without me, this place would be gone. And have that be true in a sense, but also be sort of dismissive of the actual important like work going on too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like learning to like manage that alongside the actual like ground floor stuff is a wildly different skill, because you don't want to be the kind of person that just kind of forgets what it's like to work retail front and center, right?
Yep.
God. Those people who make it into management and then pretend like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Moving on. This isn't me complaining about working conditions here.
I must update our benefactors on the state of their sherry. Between you and me, I'm not sure why they're so insistent on such regular contact. The order isn't due for the better part of a decade.
That's a great question, actually. And, like, according to Adela, like, the more you disturb it, the worse it's going to be, right?
Yep.
So I can't imagine that constant updates like this that are on the order of years would need anything more than, like, maybe semi-annual update. Sorry, I forgot what bi meant for a moment.
So, what if it's not the sherry that's the point? What if it's having Adela here that's the point?
Right. That's kind of the part we're getting to now, is like, so what is the point then of having those regular... Well, if it was just about having Adela here, why would the regular updates come from the superior? Right? Or maybe she's like, they need these updates, so I have to get Adela to do this. Because it definitely seems like maybe the sherry isn't the point, because there's a whole lot of strange things surrounding it. But also, it's just it's from what she's saying, it seems like buttoned up on her end. Like she's sending the regular updates, even though they're asked for on a strange timetable. What would they be getting out of that? Also, has mail been going out?
People like knowing where their money went, Mabel.
The bishop had emerged from the side room. He looked worn down.
I forgot how hard it is sometimes to be that disco stick.
Just to be clear, they fucking, right? They fucking. What do we think? They fucking or they fucking? Yeah, it is just that pro ZD beam. They fucking.
You know how it is. If both people in the equation are sworn to celibacy, then it cancels out.
Yes, exactly. Well, they're sleeping in the same fucking room. What do you want from me? We've never seen him outside of Mabel's room. Literally lying on her bed, mind you. Like, you telling me they ain't fucking?
He appeared to be in the middle of packing a rather large case.
True enough, I find it difficult to keep them abreast of any developments, however. It still tastes disgusting.
That's why Adela is here.
Of course.
By the way, did you know Sir Crispin has sent one of his men away?
When were you speaking with Crispin?
Away to where? Away to where?
During service this morning.
Ah. What happened?
You weren't at service this morning?
A pulley flew loose and struck a young fellow's jaw the other day. Nearly took it clean off. I daren't even imagine.
Good heavens. Well, it's dangerous work, even in the best of circumstances. All that heavy stone and taut rope.
I simmered quietly, saying nothing.
He'll be in hospice care for a long while. Maybe the rest of his life, should he not heal. Which reminds me, what of poor Sister Flora's condition?
The superior made her opening move, and I tried to focus on the game.
I like that they are actually, like it's an excuse to get them to meet, but they still do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as the chess knower in the family here, what's Hedwig's opening? You can't say Bong Cloud. That's the one I know.
Something absolutely dumb. I don't know. I forget everything I knew about chess.
The Tennyson Gambit.
I'm not certain. Moira tells me that sort of injury must set and rest for a long while. We've done all we can. Time must take care of all else.
The bishop clucked his tongue in pity.
So young. Perhaps I could have her transferred somewhere a touch more, populous. Poor girl must be lonely here, the youngest and all.
What's wrong with Linbarrow?
Might not be the best environment for such a temperamental spirit.
Normally I would agree with him, but she just made friends. She literally just made friends, and I think pulling her away from that would be worse.
She's a budding young artist, is she not? She would fare well in Italy. Perhaps Denmark.
Ask her.
Our game continued quietly. The silence was colder than the snow outside. Finally, I risked broaching the subject I had come to discuss. What do you plan to do about Eustace?
I haven't made any decisions yet.
She was playing aggressively. So aggressively that there were more mistakes than usual for me to take advantage of. If only I could have found such a weak flank in the conversation. And what should we do about James?
Refresh my memory, Hedwig. How does Eustace make any sort of sense as a culprit?
She lied about the smoke on the morning Catherine was found. She burned down the sacristy, and I found a piece of bone in the wreckage. And a mysterious benefactor taught both Flora and James the same magic spell. That bone could have been used for ritual purposes, and it would stand to reason the one who killed Catherine would want to set her conspirator free. I could tell I was coming up short. I could not explain in the real evidence I had witnessed, the missing books in the impossible library.
And what would this ritual do?
Well, I don't know.
And the boy did disappear, Mabel. I'm concerned that magic may well be involved.
Again, coming to bat for us for some reason. Either he's got motives we don't know about, or something did happen in Bishop Tricky Dick's past where he did become convinced that magic was real.
I mean, what would need to happen in someone's past? This is the 1400s and all.
Yeah, but there's a difference between like a passive believing in magic and being like, no, I've seen this circle before. That's he's going to be way out here by now. He's not speaking just as someone who's like, oh yes, magic must be involved. He's speaking like someone who's like done the research on it, right? And again, that means either he's going to bat for reasons we don't know, or he's had an encounter with this in his past we don't know about.
All told, it's a rather strange set of coincidences.
I won't deny that. Thank you for the report, Hedwig. You may go.
But aren't we going to finish our game? I was kicking your ass. The conversation was over. All I could do now was hope that I had presented my case well enough to solidify Eustace's guilt. I left the office in a hurry. My mind was racing. I replayed my arguments over and over in my head.
Oh, I love that mood. Don't you ever get in that mood where you're just arguing with yourself in your head just so you can win?
Yep.
I could have done a better job. It's not sure how exactly, but I knew I could have.
Whoa. Be careful, Sister Hedwig.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, Adela.
Are you well? You look incredibly cross.
I apologize, Adela. I was just off in my own little world.
I saw you following the superior to her office after service. Were you in trouble?
Not as such, no. We were playing chess. What could I say? One more lie? A half-truth? All would sort itself out when Superior finally detained Eustace. I had to believe in that. She's been teaching me chess when we can squeeze a few games in here and there. I was thoroughly trounced, I'll have you know.
Look for a lesson in every defeat, Sister Hedwig. Do not despair.
That would be... Again... It's good advice, but from someone who's kind of a sore loser, I don't know that you're the one to be delivering it, Adela.
I won't. We began walking.
You look tired. We are planning an outing for the day if you need something to take your mind off of your worries.
Where to? An outing?
I had wanted to host another bonfire, but the snow would make that rather difficult. So, We were thinking of just taking a nice walk into the hills to enjoy the snow.
How does one enjoy the snow? Does it involve throwing it?
Yes, and more.
Oh, okay.
You can sledge on it. You can build things.
Certainly, Adela. I would enjoy a walk at the very least. She beamed and pulled me into an embrace.
Do they have thick cloaks, right?
Yeah.
What about boots? That's the thing that worries me most.
I should hope they do.
Yeah, but like Hedwig didn't even have a heavy cloak until she complained about it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever lived in a snowy area, you know boots are the most important part, right?
Come and meet us under the archway soon.
She jogged away, presumably to round up the rest of the sisters.
I have to imagine this is the calm before the storm here. This is the last nice happy scene before it all comes to shit.
I made my way to the dorms to collect the traveling cloak from my room. I was the first to make it to the archway. The men's camp was rather quiet. I could hear idle conversation here and there, but most of them were resting inside their tents.
Oh, hey, Hedwig. Glad to get you alone.
Greetings, Sister Eustace.
No need to be so formal.
She glanced around, then stepped closer.
How are you faring? You know, after last night.
I am pleased that we cleared the air. We can leave it at that.
I'd rather not if it's all the same to you. There is a lot that I want to tell you, and more that I cannot. The others know where to meet us. Take a walk with me?
She seemed slightly agitated. Did she know she was cornered? I was wary of leaving with her alone, but pride overrode my good sense. I had already won, I thought to myself. It was only a matter of time. Very well. We made our way down the road from the Abbey. Eustace walked fast, taking a path to very similar to the one we had taken to the graveyard. It was occasionally difficult to keep up. Once we reached a relatively flat spot past the hillocks, she stopped, apparently satisfied.
We used to come here a lot. Me, Margaret, Moira, and Catherine with
The
a
inner
C.
circle.
Yep, that's the inner circle.
It's got a nice view. Not a chance of being overheard.
What is this about, Sister Eustace?
I'm relieved that you took my gambit well last night. I want to apologize for putting you in that position, first of all.
How long had the others been under the impression I thought that Catherine with a C was still alive? It's a rather ugly thing to have accused me of.
A while. I'm sorry.
So obviously they had noticed Hedwig was acting strange far sooner than Hedwig had.
Yeah.
And Eustace had been trying to play it off.
Yep.
Because Eustace had been putting in the work behind the scenes.
Yep. She had been saying I'm on your side.
I seeded it in the meeting prior to the one you stumbled into. Everyone else has been whispering about it for days at least. My contingency plan.
Days at... Okay, well maybe not as long then. Days.
Still.
But it seems more recent, but still longer than Hedwig herself had been aware of.
My contingency plan. It's a shame that it ended up being necessary.
I'd been worried for some time that everyone thought I was mad, and I was being excluded from certain things. It was a rather ugly feeling discovering that my worries were well-founded. You gather that those meetings are a regular occurrence around here?
Yes. We found you eavesdropping in the chapel. I saw an opening I couldn't miss. It was all too easy to take control of the narrative.
There's no need to rub it in, Eustace. You got what you wanted. Everyone thinks I'm quite mad. In fact, I just went and told the Superior I was done with it as well. It's all over. It's in her hands now.
Really? Well, that is good to hear. I have not relished this. I hope you understand. I realize I have been a bit of a bear to deal with. At first I was infuriated, and then I was worried. I found you dancing around in the grass naked. I wonder if I had done enough. And I began to worry that I might have broken you. I dislike interfering with others. I prefer to leave things alone.
I suppose I made that impossible for you.
Yes. Anyway, wanted to tell you something else. I think, now that you've agreed to put it all to rest, that I owe you the truth.
You couldn't have told me the truth from the very beginning?
Frankly, no. And you'll understand why, I should think.
You ready?
Yep.
You ready for this?
Sister Catherine was plotting to kill the King of England.
You see.
That's what you're locking in?
Yep. Yep.
I'm locking in Sister Catherine had literally lost her mind and could not be trusted anymore.
Hmm.
You see, Sister Catherine,
Okay.
she
You're
was
right.
not Will.
Well, maybe it could be both.
She had visions, much like Darcy does. I always enjoyed hearing about them. They're often gibberish, but the imagery was arresting. And some of them were more focused. There was something inspiring about watching her learn from them. Or at least try to learn from them. Some of these visions guided her towards making music. Others got her feeling a bit poetic. And sometimes, she would burst into rooms ready to tell us all about how God had told her that it was time to really do something about the greed of the rich.
So maybe that's why she was so flighty, because she was just following whatever her visions were.
Yep.
None of this sounds particularly troubling, except maybe that last one.
And it didn't to me either. Not at the time. Which is why one day, when she came to me with her most rabid plan of action yet, I did nothing to stop her.
She wanted someone killed.
Ah, so you have heard.
Nothing substantive, but yeah, I caught wind of it.
She had received a vision, she said, of such horror, such importance, that extreme action had to be taken.
Who did she want to kill?
She believed that she had seen a vision of the Antichrist. And she believed it was her duty to stop him.
I stood there, stunned.
I know. And I was foolish enough to believe her. She shared this vision with me, Moira, and Margaret. The 3 M's. We were her most trusted confidants. Her fervor was so infectious it was difficult to see the forest for the trees. By the time I started having second thoughts, it was far too late to say or do anything about it. In the back of my mind, I just assumed she would get tired of it and move on to something else.
So, how did she die then?
It was James Hedwig. It was just... It was random. An awful, unexpected solution to a problem that I let get out of hand.
Do you really believe that?
Yes.
I find this hard to accept. Why act so mysterious? Why scare me toward the truth?
Because I was ashamed, Hedwig. Ashamed and involved.
Didn't I suggest something like that? That it was more, that some of the motivation might have been like, even if they are technically innocent, they're too close to it to let that.
Hmm.
And revealing the full truth would reflect more poorly on them.
I had the opportunity, or so I thought, to lay this all to rest without sharing too much.
Did she somehow set up James?
I don't know.
She seems to think it was still really James. Interesting.
If only you had just accepted the story, but I suppose that was always out of the question. You were primed by the Superior to suspect everyone, everything, and accept anything but the real truth. I knew you had caught on about the smoke too, by the way. Margaret told me. I put it together. I think we all might have.
She did? But...
You have to understand, Hedwig, that people have lives that continue when they're outside of your vision. You ever heard of this thing called a tether cat? I understand the impulse to try and map everything out neatly, to strategically navigate between people and map out who was where, when, and why. But you have always acted as if the world only moves when you are looking at it, you solipsist. And frankly, that's only natural for someone who has lived the way you lived for so long. But the simple fact of the matter is this: people talk, and everyone is far more intelligent than you think. I'm sure that everyone wanted to believe your absurd story about filling in the gaps. But when you started talking about smoke, it became so obvious that something was up. Be glad that I sated their natural suspicion with something relatively innocuous. Anyway, do you want to know why the smoke was an inconsistent detail?
Yes.
Because I was burning all the notes we had taken on Catherine's elaborate Antichrist fantasy. If those had gotten out after her death, she would have been excommunicated.
You do realize, though, after saying sated their suspicions with an easier lie, that it does make everything you say harder to believe, right? You just admitted that that's a tool in your toolbox. How do we believe that's not happening? I mean, she's right. It's a good story.
And so would the three of us who remained. Either that or we'd be hanged. So, naturally, we agreed to omit smoke from our story should anyone ever ask.
But you couldn't convince anyone to follow suit?
How could we? It required explaining everything that I just told you. And I don't trust everyone at the Abbey quite like that. I hardly trust you with it, but, I did owe this to you, I should think. I hope that this can serve as something of a, foundational apology. Something to build a real friendship on.
I see. Well, I do appreciate that. I was turning it all over in my mind. It made a sad kind of sense, but there were still missing pieces. Enough for me to press my luck. What about the beast?
You never saw it, remember?
And what about the library?
What about it?
We stood in the snow. Eustace wasn't willing to back down, but neither was I. Ironically, a real answer might save her. She couldn't have known, but I was offering her a chance to exonerate herself. I want to know. If I'm owed all that, I'm owed the rest.
Anything else beyond what I've told you is unrelated. And anything else that happens, well, just something we'll have to live with. What I've just told you right now is something that nobody else knows. I am trusting you with the deepest, darkest secrets of my history, and Catherine with a C's. You are entering a very small circle. Just you, me, Margaret, and Moira.
I am just meant to live with the knowledge that there's something unexplainable out there? Something that might attack me?
I'm done entertaining that particular fantasy of yours. That is your imagination. I do not know anything about it, and I do not believe anything you have told me is real. If you have seen anything, it is likely to be a product of your imagination. If you ignore it, it'll go away.
But Flora
is a stupid teenager. There is nothing, Hedwig. There never was. Accept it. And even if there was, you would never find it. How much evidence did you collect anyway? How many notebooks could you have filled with speculation? As I've told you over and over again, you wouldn't have known where to begin. Looking for a needle in a haystack doesn't even begin to describe it. You didn't even know where the barn was.
She wouldn't budge then. No matter. She was clearly desperate. Very well. Just one more question then. You threatened me with information about my own history. What do you think you know? Eustace looked at me cannily.
Don't ask questions you don't want answered, Hedwig.
That was fair enough. She could continue to be withholding until the gallows took her. Who would she spill my secrets to? The headsman? I had won. Not every question had been answered, but I felt confident I could deal with the rest afterward.
Anyway, on to slightly more amusing matters. What is it about showing yourself off you enjoy so much?
I was immediately knocked off balance by this salacious inquiry. The sudden flirtatiousness put me ill at ease. She wouldn't be acting like this if she knew that I was simply biding my time, waiting on her arrest. I don't think that's an appropriate thing to ask me.
Oh, come on. This is how friends talk. We're friends now, aren't we? You can confide in me. Perhaps I should just give it a go.
So, real quick, you don't want to do this in the winter just because hypothermia is a real thing. Like, I'm not saying don't do public nudity. It's legal where we live.
It is not anymore.
Oh, right, that's right. That's a new thing. Is it still legal statewide or just in our city?
It is unclear to me.
It's unclear. It could still be topless in our city, though. It was just the bottom half that was... Regardless, public nudity is... I'm not going to say it's fine in general, but, like, in principle, whatever. But there's a reason you don't do it in the winter, because there's, like... You're exposing your skin to everything out there. You're going to... You don't want to be unhealthy about it. Try doing it in, like, a nice autumn, when it's, like, pleasantly cool. Or do it in the summer when it's too hot and you don't want clothes on. That's fine. No one's going to blame you. I won't blame you, rather.
Many people may blame you.
Many people, this is not
Depending
financial
on your
advice.
jurisdiction, you may be held responsible for that blame as well.
Again, this is not legal advice. Please seek counsel.
She walked away, leaving me feeling rather dazed. She turned around and lifted up her skirt.
Like this?
After a few moments, she let the fabric fall back around her ankles.
Perhaps it's a matter of timing.
Perhaps.
Were you trying to be flirtatious just now? Wait, was that actually you trying to flirt?
Anyway, I just... Everything you thought you knew was a lie. Wanna fuck?
Actually, when I put it that way, that's not that bad of a pitch.
Oi, what are you two doing up there?
The rest of the sisters had arrived.
Just enjoying the breeze.
She shouted this down the hill to the others, then turned to me with a forced smile.
Shall we?
God damn it, Eustace, you really want this to work out. The swipe isn't matching the fade out of the other stuff I've noticed. Anyway, join us next time for the next chapter. Innocence. Uh-oh. That's a great name for it. Guilt was the last chapter and Innocence is this chapter. Oh, buddy. We'll see you all next time, everyone. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.